Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Higher Moment Mastermind. I am Shira Lotzar, joined by my colleague, Vern Schellinger. We are happy to answer your job search questions today. So who would like to kick us off? Questions, comments, thoughts, ideas, inspirations?
Well, I guess I just had one thought. I think the more I interview, the more it is about culture and will we be able to work with this person? It's not about skill level for the most part. I think skill level, they wouldn't have called you in. They didn't think you had the skill level. I think it's all about how well is this person going to be a fit? Several of my last interviews have been all those types of questions.
Yep, I can tell you from current experience. I'm doing a search right now, and I presented 4 very qualified candidates. The employer loved every single one of them, but she's going with the person she feels will be the overall best culture fit, period. That's what it is. You're absolutely right.
That often can be the deciding factor when you have
be.
like 2 or 3 people that are really qualified.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
And so much of that is just a feel.
I mean, sometimes it is skill, no doubt, right? Sometimes somebody has this skill versus a that skill or this background. That's true. That does happen. But yeah, I think you got to work with the person. And it's funny because for as much as it feels personal, it's not personal. You know what I mean? Because you could have every personality is going to be a different fit with the team, you know? So in some organizations, they need somebody who's, I don't know, bold and assertive. And some organizations, they need somebody who's going to be a little more mild-mannered because of the dynamics or whatever. So it's really not against you. It's just, okay, you're either going to be fit or not. And in fact, it's like dating. I always liken job search to dating. Be a great person, but you're either compatible with the other person or you're not. You know? And that's kind of how it goes. So that's a very astute point, Ty. It's true.
Good, Ty. There's a follow-up to that. Have you identified in your mind, hopefully, the type of culture that, where you feel you're a good fit, or the things that you're looking for in a culture?
I have identified, but then I haven't, some of the jobs I've interviewed for don't have that, but I think there's a trade-off there too. You have to decide, well, I'm not going to get this, but I'm going to get this.
Yeah, no culture is perfect, so yeah. But it's just as important for you as the job seeker to know the culture that you think you're going to, do well in. So
it's true. It's true. I mean, and you want to check that out in advance if you can. If there's anybody who can share with you the culture. You've heard me frequently talk about Amazon on this call. I only use them because they're kind of extreme, like they're a thing. And I say that because, if you know their culture, and you really know it, you either know whether you're going to be fit or not, Now that said, in a lot of smaller organizations, yes, there's a culture, but sometimes it really depends on the department. Sometimes departments have certain cultures. And that, of course, that has to do with people. Now, of course, that can change, if the supervisor changes or what have you. So you do have to take sometimes a little bit of grain of salt with your thinking. On the other hand, if you get a sense that the organization flows in a certain way, and you're like, yeah, that's not really how I am, it's good to know. It's just good to know. But you got to be introspective first, kind of figure out what works for you. And ask good questions in the interview around culture, general culture, departmental culture, supervisor style, the coworkers, like just ask questions about the dynamics. Sonia.
I have a question. I'm trying to figure out these people that call you that, out the blue, and they just, they say, I saw your resume posted, and, I'm the one that always asks, where did you find it, and these jobs that they are going for, it don't fit. They come to you and you don't even have the skill set. I've asked many people, they'll come to me, I have an HR coordinator job because I saw your resume. I said, and then I asked her, I said, did you really look at my resume? What on it make you think I would be an HR coordinator? And And then, I have to tell them, no, I'm not a coordinator, I'm an executive. And, oh, I'm so sorry if something comes up. Who are these people? Is this stuff real? And then the other thing I want to know, what is this setup they have? I haven't utilized them, but I've had people reach out to me and talk about it.
Hey
And
guys, I'm so sorry. I need to step away for a minute. Vern, can you handle it for just a minute? Thanks.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. And then Vern, they come and they say, you have to sign up, let me be your representative and all this. What is all of that?
My first response is a lot of it's just scam stuff, really. I mean, the one thing that I can relate, I think I can relate it to, and you probably all can relate to this. I mean, you get an email from somebody that says you've just won $1 million, right? And that's a phishing email.
Right.
I mean, you identify it. I think some of those same things happen in the employment area. Anywhere where people can think they can make a buck, or they're just completely in disregard. Oh, HR, they see HR and they send it out without.
Right.
I mean, it's unprofessional, it's poor quality, but in every business there's the high quality great providers, and there's the low provider, other end of the spectrum type of people.
And understand too that a lot of recruiters are very junior in their career.
Yeah.
Don't get a lot of training, if at all. Could be contingent recruiters, which means that they're working on volume searches, or even corporate recruiters that are working on volume searches, and they're just going boom, 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 boom,
Yeah.
right? And not necessarily taking the time to be thoughtful, right? So there's a lot of variables going on if it's a recruiter doing
Yeah,
this. So just take it with a grain of salt. It's either, it either works or it doesn't, and I wouldn't worry about it in any which way.
Yeah.
Well, I don't trust anything online. I think everything's a scam. So don't ask me anything. I have no answer. But I do have people reach out to me and they, what do you think? So, and I know, well, I can say this. I worked for a cybersecurity company, and I did have an external sourcing organization. They were located in India, and they helped me because I needed, it was GovCon, and I needed all these people for proposals or that kind of stuff, and they were extremely cost effective, and they did bring people, but the people that are calling, they don't function like that. And I just, especially when they tell you, I need you to sign this document to let the company know I'm representing you, because you can get several people reach out to you about the same job.
That's because they're contingent recruiters, and they're trying to do what's called procuring source of the hire, which means that they want to make sure that that the company knows that they presented you, as opposed to another company presenting you, because whoever gets to the employer first wins.
Yeah.
Right? They get seriously, they get the fee. So
And so
that's why they're trying to lock you down.
And what's the motivation there? Their motivation is money.
It's money.
Right?
Yeah.
Not you, the candidate. Their motivation
It's
is
the model. It's the business model of contingent search.
Is it working? Because I mean, I'm inundated with it. I don't respond. Like I say, anything online, any kind of spam, any of that, it's a waste of time to call me, because I don't respond.
Well, here's the
I know
situation.
people who do.
Here's the situation, Sonia. And I appreciate what you're saying. Here's the however, okay? The employer doesn't realize that this is going on. Can I just say that? Seriously, the employer has no idea that this is going on. They don't know the underpinnings of contingent search. All they know is that the employer is trying to save a buck. That's why they're sending it out to multiple firms who are all working for free until they make the placement. And they're not aware typically that that the candidate has this experience on the back end. Okay. And so the contingent firms will often hire, people who are very inexperienced, and they're just going out. It's sales. They're just going out. They just want to buy chicken, want to buy chicken. And the candidate, like yourself, feels confused by that. But that's just the business model. If the employer were willing to either do an exclusive with that recruiter or a retained search, that wouldn't be the case typically, because then the recruiter could spend the time and be focused and thoughtful and not just make it a numbers game. Okay, so it's unfortunate that that's just the business model that you're receiving on the other end.
Okay.
But as far as I'm concerned, if I were you, I would try to move past that if you can, because you could be inadvertently missing out on actually a very good opportunity just because the process isn't comfortable. Okay, the employer is still the employer. They're just trying to save a dollar. They're using the process that they think works, but they don't know the consequences. So I would, if any of those positions come your way that feel like, well, what, delete, that's fine.
Yeah.
But if there is something that comes your way that actually is at your level, even if it comes through that kind of recruiter, I'd still pursue it.
It
Because
never comes, it's never at my level, never.
Okay, and
ever.
then just say thank you. No.
So,
It's almost like spam email, Sandra.
Yeah,
We all
just
get
delete.
an email,
delete or
delete,
just write
delete,
them back
delete,
and say,
delete.
this is not right for me. And that's that.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah.
Keep on going, kiss some frogs until you get the Prince Charming. I mean,
okay. All right. I just wanted to know about that because, like I said, I have people reach out to me and I can't answer it because I don't know what people are doing. And
It feels like you feel like you have to answer them, or you feel, right? I wouldn't worry about answering them at all.
okay, very good. Thank you for the update.
yeah. Tabi, you have your hand raised and you are dressed for an interview. I think.
Yeah, I have an interview at 10. So, but I just wanted to comment on what Sonia was saying, because I too have been a victim of this as well through Indeed, because a lot of companies email me through Indeed with the position completely out of my relevant job experience. But upon thinking about it, I thought that maybe it could be like recruiters, scrambling, trying to fill roles because maybe they're having trouble getting applicants or whatnot. But
That's right.
but some of the emails, they thought I was qualified just because I had a degree, and never mind relevant job experience, either that or inexperienced recruiters. But so.
Yep.
Yeah,
All
just
right.
move forward. We have a delete button for a reason.
Yeah. Good luck on the interview, Tabi.
Thank you.
Luck.
What's the job?
Office concierge position at Edward Jones in Falls Church.
Okay.
Great.
Very good.
What's Edward Jones?
It's a financial services firm, right?
Big financial service.
Investments,
Yeah.
financial stuff. So
Yeah.
Well, you're lurking sharp.
yeah, thank you.
Remember, it's your stories that get you the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure to ask them good questions about the kinds of what their expectations are, the kind of challenges you'd be facing every day, and make sure to speak, just like Eric said, relate your experience as much as possible, and only the experience that's relevant.
Yeah, there were a lot of it seems like there are a lot of hoops to go through with Edward Jones, because this is at least my 4th interview
Wow.
with them, because I did one digital on the computer, and then I talked to one of the recruiters in Missouri, and I had to fill out a formal application, and then today I'm talking with one of the financial advisors at the branch. So.
Well, I'm sure you'll do well. Also,
Yeah.
I'm sure you've already brought this up, but because you've been a piano teacher, right, for so long, obviously
Yeah.
you've had a lot of customer service experience. So
Yeah,
if you haven't already brought that up, I would.
yeah.
Good. I'll be blessed with it. All right. So who else has a question?
I have a question regarding interviewing for brand new positions. I have somewhat of an idea, questions to ask, but is there any advice on that? I mean, what if they say, well, we want to be successful, or they don't nail down any numbers? I haven't had the interview yet, but any advice on that? It's a new position to promote and administer a program.
Vern?
Well, the first question, and maybe it's been in the, announcement or whatever, but why did you create this position? What's the reason for the company creating this position? What are the key, deliverables, the outcomes? What's the key role? How is this position going to help the team contribute to the company's success? And in their answers, listen closely for what, sure, we were, just telling Tabby, okay, I've heard that. I have a story. I have an experience that relates to that, so that during the interview, hopefully you get a chance to share that. And so you're matching, exactly what they're saying they're looking for.
Is it a fair question to ask, like, what might the typical day or a day-to-day look like in the position,
Always.
since it's a new position?
Always.
Always
Absolutely.
with the caveat on a new position, they don't really know either. They think
Right.
they know.
And ask why the position was created. What were the business needs that necessitated this role?
Yeah.
Because that's going to give you more insight than anything. That's going to
Yeah.
tell you a story. Like I'm right now doing a search. That's exactly that. It's a newly created role. And there is a story. They want to take this thing away from this person and that, and shift things around because they want to grow this and da, 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 da. It's like a whole thing. So that will help you to better understand what their expectations are based upon what their needs are, right? People don't just create jobs just cause.
Yeah,
There's
because you're
business
adding
need,
payroll.
you know?
In many
And
cases.
so there's exactly, it's very expensive. So there's probably, it could be they want to, expand something. They want to make something more efficient. They've had, these people in this role and their skill set wasn't right on target. So they needed somebody else who could complement. I mean, there's a million reasons, but ask the story.
Thank you.
Yeah, Sonia.
Okay, I have a question about interviewing with recruiters that's not here in the DMV and other states, and with this new remote thing going, you could easily get that. Right. I find that when I interview with people from other states, I really have to be I'm gonna say I have to really pull back, because in the DMV, like you say, there is a lot of competition, and recruiters are trying to get the best, and to be honest, candidates have a lot of pull. They can do things, say things, or whatever. But when you get to these other cities where their job market may not be as lucrative as our job market, I find the recruiters are a little bit more, I don't want to say aggressive, but they kind of let you know they're in charge.
In other markets?
Yes.
In other markets?
Yes, if you get my drift. And so how to navigate that, where you're not trying to overtake them because you don't know how they're going to respond to that, because they're not used to that.
Right.
And but to get your point across that, yes, I got the skills, I got the knowledge, I am interested.
Be humble at the same time that you're confident. Okay.
Be humble.
Just be humble. Flow with it. Don't try to second guess the relationship with them. Just let them be themselves. Truly, Sonia, let them be themselves. Look, they are the gatekeeper. Okay. you're not working for them. Even if they were a corporate recruiter, you're still not working for them.
Mhm.
They're trying to do their job the best way that they know how. Just like with any relationship, be humble, flow,
Mhm.
speak in a way that they can hear,
Mm.
have a lot of emotional intelligence. Just roll with it. Just roll. Don't second guess it. Don't overthink it. None of that stuff. They're doing their job. They're stoic. They're not stoic. They're friendly. They're not friendly. Whatever. Whatever. Okay. You just be you and just respect them and honor them and let them be themselves and just, flow with it.
Okay.
And just answer the questions, as best you possibly can, however they phrase the question,
That's right.
however they
Doesn't
come at
matter.
you.
Doesn't matter.
That's all you can do.
It doesn't matter. They're not your supervisor. They're just the gatekeeper. Bless their hearts. They're doing their best. Different
Yeah.
personalities, different styles. I
And-
would say
and
that's
some of-
that's generally the thing with recruiters. Please know that, right? Because even if you love the recruiter, you're still not working with them.
Mhm.
Okay. So don't overthink the recruiter relationship too much. They're just doing their job to be a liaison with the employer, period, end. No matter what you think of them.
Well,
Yeah,
see,
and
the reason I asked this question, because you got to get through them to get to the hiring manager. I mean, the hiring manager who's gonna make the decision. And like I say, it depends. I'm used to working outside of the DMV and interacting with people outside of the DMV, and I do know that in different communities, I'm struggling with the words because I'm trying to be as kind as possible, but they do have a flavor that
Let me let me
I'm
say
in
this, Sonia.
charge.
Let me say this, Sonia. Let me double back on the recruiting. Just give you a short history, okay? Back in, I know this is going to sound like forever ago, right? But back in the 70s and 80s, there was a mindset in the recruiting community that you had to manage the candidate. Okay. You had to show the candidate who was boss. You had to basically cut them down to size to make them feel like they were putty, like you could just do whatever you wanted to do because the recruiter was in control. That was truly the mindset. That slowly started to shift in the 90s and so forth. In fact, that's when I got into recruiting, was the mid 90s. So I was taught how not to do that. Like the company that I worked for was exactly the opposite of that. That's why I was taught that. Like, no, we don't do it that way. We do it this kind way and this relational way. And this is why we do it. It's like, okay, great. And so, over time, it got more and more relational, right? That said, there's still, I believe, a flavor out there that I have heard of people who still kind of operate more in that mindset. I'm the recruiter, I'm in control. Now, the fact of the matter is that recruiters do feel they're in control because we have all these candidates that we can choose from per se, although sometimes not, especially this market, but still it's like, oh, well, they're I either want you or I don't want you. Well, that's true. I mean, to an extent, but hopefully there are recruiters out there who are more candidate centric, more relational, more sort of walking a mile in the candidate's shoes. There are recruiters out there. They do exist. I promise you they exist. I'm not saying that they're the norm, or I should say, I can't say norm or not. They're there, right? If you're experiencing the other, I think that's just really a throwback to old mindsets because you never knew who trained them. Right. Like I was trained by a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful person who just day one told me, care about the candidate, care about them. Right.
Yeah.
Great. I was trained the right way. Not everybody is.
Yeah. I know here, when a company I was at, we had a brand called Candidate Care.
Mhm.
And that means make them feel
Yeah.
very comfortable, very that you want them, and we're trying to see if we can match it together so it'll be beneficial for all.
Yeah.
And I like that. I like that idea of candidate care.
Mhm.
But like I say, sometimes when you talk to these people across the continental United States, you do get people with a little edge to them to try to make you feel like, you know, they're in charge and you should be happy that I picked up the phone and
Right.
called you.
Right.
Well, and again, take it out of the recruiting world, Sonia. You and I and everybody on this call, we know hundreds of people. And of those hundreds of people, there are some people that we just love, we get along with, and there's some people we deal with at the other end of the spectrum for whatever reason, their personality, their, you know, the way they act, you know, we just, you know, if we can avoid talking to them, we do, right? And recruiters fall into that spectrum too. There's, you know, I'm here for the money. I don't really care about you as a candidate. And all I care about is, you know, making this transaction.
It's a good point, Vern, because we didn't talk about that. There are recruiters who are literally recruiters for the money, especially if they're working for a search firm and even a contingent search firm at that, where it's all about the hunt. It's a sales.
Yeah.
It's just sales. They're paid on, we don't really talk about that in this call, but they're paid on commission. Right. And if they're in a contingent situation, it's not necessarily a big commission. So they've got to do volume business and they've got to hustle. Literally, they got to hustle.
Yeah.
And so that's just the way it's the business model.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and at the other end of the spectrum, there are, you know, whether it's contingent, retained, whatever, there are recruiters who understand it's in my best interest to value the candidate, value the company, and try to get the best match possible.
That's right.
For both parties, right?
That's right.
So it's
there are recruiters who are like that. I tell you, I know them.
And there's, I mean, this goes back a ways, but my daughter was recruited out of the company she was with, and everything was going great with this recruiter. The recruiter was really nice to her. She got a great offer from the new organization, but my daughter, it was at a point where, you know, fear got into, oh my God, you know, I'm comfortable here. I'm really successful here. Do I really want to make this move? She was, you know, she was afraid. And so all of a sudden the recruiter turned. What do you mean you're thinking of turning this down? I mean, you could tell that the recruiter was going, oh my God, I'm going to lose this commission. Right. I mean, it just completely switched.
Right.
And, you know, I said, Jen, you make, you know, and now Jen's feeling guilty. I'm going, Jen, you make the decision that's in your best interest.
Absolutely.
You've got to make the decision that's in your best interest, which she did. And she's been really successful. It was just the fear of, you know, she'd been at a company for like 15 years, comfortable, new things, confident, and the fear of the unknown scared her. But she's done great there. But I remember her, I was getting angry with the recruiter. You know, don't let the recruiter push you into this job.
No, this morning, a candidate withdrew his candidacy from a position where he was one of the two finalist candidates this morning. And I called him. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he explained to me that he researched the organization more, and there is a certain mission that the organization supports that don't align with his values. So he needed to pull out. Okay. You know, and whatever it doesn't matter what the reason is. Like, what I just was curious what the reason was, but it doesn't matter what the reason. Now, if it was a reason that I could legitimately overcome, so for example, maybe he misunderstood something, you know, or maybe he had a question about something, and if I could legitimately overcome it, I would. That's my job, right? Is to make sure that there's the right marriage for both sides. In fact, the employer sometimes has misunderstandings, misinterpretations, heard something, and the candidate didn't mean to say it that way, whatever. I'm here to pass the note in study hall. Overcome objections if they are naturally to be overcome. But if a person feels a way that they do, and that's just really how they, okay. You know, there's only so much that we should be overcoming. But we should be gracious, you know, and really respect both sides and how they're feeling about working with each other. But again, that's, you know, not everybody's trained that way. But the more gracious you can be, Sonia, or anybody, you know, maybe you can model for them, maybe how they could be. So Ty and then Tavi.
Yeah, quick question. Once you have the interview with the hiring manager and the recruiter is like out of the picture, you deal directly with the hiring managers, or do you go back to the recruiter? What's the dynamics, or does it depend on the situation?
Wait, so say that again.
I interviewed with the recruiter,
Yeah.
which it looks like it was outsourced. The
Uh-huh.
recruiter passed me on. I'm going to have the interview with the hiring
Right.
managers.
Right.
After this interview, do I deal directly with the
Oh,
hiring
yeah.
managers?
No. You always deal with the recruiter. Recruiter is your first point and last point in the whole process. Always, always, always. Yep. It's their job to shepherd you through the process all the way to the offer. Once you get the offer and accept the offer, then you have the relationship with the hiring manager or the employer. That's how it works. Yeah. Make sure to keep the recruiter. That's not only should you always be in touch with them, make sure to keep them in the loop. Because sometimes a hiring manager will go outside the bounds. Like hiring manager may talk to you directly, email you, whatever. And if the recruiter doesn't know and they're out of the loop, it's not good. They need to know what's going on, because that's the only way that they can navigate the relationship. And
So
sometimes
if-
recruiters are felt out of the loop, and it help them do their job.
So like after the interview, maybe send them a thank you note saying, hey, it really went really well. Thank you for
So
connecting
first of
me.
all, most recruiters should be asking you to,
Yeah.
some recruiters should be
Okay.
asking you to call them afterwards. I mean, that's best practice. It's
Yeah.
standard. So I wouldn't just email them. I would call them and say, hey, just wanted to give you feedback on the interview. I thought it went well, blah, blah, blah. Here's my interest level. I have a hesitation, whatever it is. It's the recruiter's job to liaise for you, to overcome objections, to share feedback if they have any, like hopefully prepare you for the next interview, just navigate, tell you what's going on, what the process is. Like that's their job. So you want to be in regular touch with them, let them know what your side of things is.
And the recruiter
that-
may, when you talk to the recruiter and tell them how well it went, and you said, well, I got a question about this or question about that. Recruiter may have some information related to that question, which could help you, as you're going through the process.
Okay.
So,
And that should be the process for an internal and an external
Always.
recruiter.
If
Okay.
there is a recruiter, they are your liaison from start to finish.
Okay. Thank you.
Mhm.
yeah.
Tommy?
Going back to what Vern was saying about like job offers and decisions, how much do whoever's interviewing you, like, can I have a certain amount of time and period to think about it?
Meaning if you get an offer?
Or, yeah,
Yeah, yes. So here's the deal. Technically, you can get up to a week, but you don't want to take a week.
okay,
You don't want to take a week, because from the employer's perspective, that's what we call a slow no. If you really wanted the job, you would accept the job pretty quickly. I'm not saying you have to accept it on the spot. It's what's most normal is overnight or over the weekend if you get the offer on a Friday. You
okay.
gotta think about it. You gotta be thoughtful, look at the benefits, consider, weigh your options.
it-
That's normal.
because sometimes they try to like dupe you or bamboozle you into taking the job right away.
No, you do not have to do that.
Like when they talk to you, like, "Well, why do you want to think about it?" And things like that. So
Well, that's
well,
not.
this interviewing candidates, so numerous candidates, so take that.
Yeah, we didn't hear some of what you just said because you were breaking up.
But
But
we're
okay.
interviewing multiple candidates, so take the offer while you can,
Right.
kind of.
No, just
kind
no.
of thing.
If you need to
So-
think, listen here, Tommy. If you want the job, take it. If you still have
Okay.
to think about it, then say, I'd like to make a thoughtful decision. May I have overnight? That's it. And if they keep pushing you, that's probably not the right
Or
job
do
for you
we-
anyway.
or
They're
do
going to
we-
force you.
Most companies, I think, are closed over the weekend, so you can
Yeah.
say like the weekend to think about it.
Absolutely.
right?
Yes, I'd like to take the
Okay.
weekend to think about it. I'll get back to you first thing Monday morning.
Yeah.
I'd like to consider
Okay.
my options, review your benefits. I've got other things pending. If you do, I just want to be thoughtful. This is a big decision.
I would almost always
Okay.
recommend that, if they offer you the job right on the spot, say, thank you very much. I'm really excited about this opportunity, but I do, to be fair to myself, I just let me sleep on it for at least
Yeah.
one night or over the weekend or that type of thing. Even if you're
Mhm.
excited about the job, because, you're excited about the job in the moment, in the office, right?
The honeymoon
Walk away,
phase.
reflect
Yeah.
on the whole experience and confirm for yourself, yes, it is the right job for me.
And also, as Hobby, in truth, if you're going to be thinking about it, know what you're thinking about. Is there
Yeah.
any additional information that you need to get from them to help you make a good decision? So there's one thing to just think about it, that's fine. But what are you thinking about? Do you have any hesitations? Do you need any more information? Make sure that you ask them all those questions, and then that'll literally help you make your decision. Okay. All right, Eric?
So at my point, I'm waiting on a government background check. So I got the offer and everything. So at this point, I should be not dealing with the recruiter anymore at all, really. It's all the hiring manager at this point, right?
That I don't know. I'm not a government background check kind of person. I would still think that it's all recruiter until you actually are formally onboarded, like you've accepted the offer, they've accepted you, and it's all done.
Yeah, I
So
had
you-
the
you may be
offer.
able to
I
speak to
accepted the offer, and then now I'm waiting on a government background check to get a public
So
trust.
who's keeping you informed about the status of the background check?
Yeah.
I think it's the sponsoring company at this point, right? Yeah.
I'm not, that's not really my world in GovCon. Sonia, do you have information on that?
Normally, the recruiter hangs in there until you come on, and once the hiring manager takes over, once you on board, until you on board, you belong to the recruiter. I know I said that a little too possessively, but but your interaction is with the recruiter, because they are the ones that's going through the process, and they're checking and making sure everything, and then they're going to report to the hiring manager everything is back. We're going to schedule him to come in on such and such a date, and then they need to, if you got a full fledged onboarding schedule, they may have that first week, they may have a full schedule for you. Like on Monday, you talk to accounting and product development and whoever, and then on Tuesday, whatever, and you got lunch every week, and for each day, you have a full schedule for onboarding, because onboarding has become a really, really big thing. And it's not like you just come in and sit down and hopefully somebody start talking to you. It's normally a full process. But yeah, you belong to the recruiter until you come on board. Once you come on board, that's when they transition you to the hiring manager, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, so Eric, if you have questions about the status of the background check or the clearance, whatever, I would touch base with the recruiter.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Sandra?
Hi, Eric, sometimes what happens, and it differs depending on the agency and the contractor. But yes, you do need to be in touch with the recruiter. Sometimes after you've gone to the recruiter and you started the security clearance, the PERSEC, the Personnel Security Office for, let's say, FAA, they may be in contact with you. And then they may tell you, yes, we can expect to hear back in 3 days or 2 days. But irrespectively, if PERSEC told you and you haven't heard anything within a reasonable time period, then definitely you need to go to that recruiter and say, I talked with them last Tuesday, 3 weeks ago, and I haven't heard anything, which is not good. You definitely need to let that recruiter know, because then they can reach back to the security officer or the program manager to get things moving.
Okay.
Thanks, Sandra and Sonia. Other thoughts, other questions? Jonathan, we have not heard from you today. Do you have a question?
I'm sure I do. There's a lot of stuff to think about. Learning all of what the recruiter needs to know, trying to make everything easy for the recruiter to digest. I'm having a problem with the person who knows the most about me. That's me. And
Jonathan, may I ask a question on your behalf?
sure, please do.
Jonathan needs clarity in his search. He doesn't exactly know what he wants to do. He wants to be a scientific researcher of some kind, but he doesn't know. He's been out of the game too long to know exactly what he wants, and he needs help with that.
Jonathan, are you able to expand on that a little bit?
Yeah, well, go back to what I usually tell people. I worked as a graduate teaching assistant at the university where I was studying. I studied in the science department, computational sciences and informatics. And I worked in the IT and engineering computer labs. I also worked as an astronomy lab instructor, which, I really enjoyed that. I want to get experience doing, some real experiments and stuff like that. But I was caregiving for my mom for the last years before I graduated, and then for my father and other family members. And it's been a really long time. So
It's all right, Jonathan.
Jonathan, do you know what you'd like to do? Do you have any ideas or thoughts about what would excite you, what you'd be, something you'd really like to do?
well, I applied to the National Reconnaissance Office, and that was after some job fairs. And I did get interviews with them for 3 different positions that were sort of, I thought I could do, and they must have too, since I got the interviews. They were the kind that you read a prompt on the screen and you record a video response. I was able to download my responses on the last one and a few of the earlier ones. I think your question was, do I know what I want to do? I think I want to work like in a government lab. Some of my classmates worked at Naval Research Laboratory, and a professor too for classes that they were tough, but I learned a lot there.
Are you familiar with Corliss Jackson?
I've heard the name. I believe she works with the Federal Career Connection.
Sure. So she's a coach, a career coach, resume writer that helps people get into the federal government. She has a team of people that does that. And she's worked with CNM for, she's spoken at CNM for many years. If you have a couple dollars, I don't know exactly how her rates work, but I would recommend that you reach out to her, because that's her expertise. And it's in fact, she for a long time, she was actually on this call when we first started this call a couple years ago. And so her email, I'll just put it in the chat, is corliss@federalJobResults.com.
Okay.
Jobresults.com. Okay. Just reach out to her, and she might be willing to have even just a quick conversation with you, just to see.
Okay.
Plus she's got videos and things like that, trainings and whatever, but you want somebody to help you navigate getting into the federal government. It's not an easy thing. Okay. So there's an art and a science to getting in there. I think she'd be a good one to help you.
Jonathan, you said you had some classmates that worked in the federal government?
Yes, but that was such a long time ago. I tried to look up one of them and couldn't find him.
Okay, all right, okay. Well, where I was going with that is, people that know you, or people that have worked with you, or people that know your skills, you should just start having conversations with them and asking them about, if you talk to 7 or 8 people and they all say, Jonathan, you have this skill, that's important for you to know. And it's important for you to gain confidence that you have that skill. So that if there's a job that has that skill, that may be a match for you. I mean, you got to look at the whole job versus just one skill. But you need to think about what are your skills and talents, and then talk to people, research where are the jobs that might fit best with my skills and talent.
And you know what too is along those lines is, if there are certain kinds of agencies, for example, like Naval Research Center or whatever, that you feel you want to work at, start looking at the job descriptions that they have online and start to compare what they want to what you're capable of doing. And just for research purposes, just go point by point by point. For this kind of job, they typically need skill A, B, C, D, E. And I've got A, B, C, E, but not D, right? And just kind of see, is there a gap there? Does it look like that gap's a big deal? Does maybe that gap is something that you could, study up on? I don't know. But you want to sort of see what's out there in the market, what the skills are for certain kinds of jobs, and see where you line up. That's a really good way to start.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking about what you were saying, Jonathan, about where you can look. You can also look at some of these scientific nonprofits, because they do, you said you like research, they do a lot of that in some of the scientific nonprofits, and also, up that 270 corridor, that's a healthcare type of environment. Those are some I know they do research. I used to work for one, and we had labs, and we worked for NIH, and we worked for FDA, and yes, it was constant type of research, and the PETA people were after us because we had those kind of labs. And but my point is that's a group that you can look at up that 270 corridor. And if you're not sure, there are some agencies, some staffing agencies that specifically work with those biomedical research organizations. So I was thinking about that, since you like research and things like that. But you're in a great area to find somebody that will marry well with your skill set. You're in a great area.
And the other thing too is looking on LinkedIn, using the search bar in the upper left-hand corner to find people who do what you want to do, and reaching out, making a connection and saying, hey, would you be open to an informational interview? Because I'd like to learn more about your role and see if there might be a spot for me in your agency. So literally just in the search bar, just start typing in various keywords. I don't know, lab, I don't even know the terms of art for what you do, right? But whatever the titles are and various permutations of that, just keep putting it in the search bar, and you'd hit enter, go to the people button. I'll just show you real fast. Are you familiar with how to use the search bar, the search functions, Jonathan? Oh, you're on mute.
If you tell me the steps, I can probably
Yeah,
do
so
it.
I'm just going to go super fast here, and then I'm going to show you a video that I have that'll help you. So the search bar is in the upper left-hand corner here. So I'm going to make up actually give me a term, Jonathan, of a typical title that you think you might be qualified for.
Computational scientist.
Computational scientist. Okay, I'm basically going to look for people who do what you do. So I just hit enter. I'm going to hit the people tab in the upper left-hand corner. Okay. I'm also going to right now go to locations just to localize it a little bit. And I'm going to, and under add a location, I'm going to start typing in Washington. So Washington, D.C., Baltimore is the region LinkedIn thinks that we're all in. Even I know we're in two different regions, but whatever, they put us together. And hit share results. And here we go. So here's all kinds of people, right? Senior computational social scientist at MITRE. It's a computational social scientist at Pew Research Center, computational science at IBM, blah, blah, blah. So let's pull this person as an example. Now, this person, he's second level to me, which means I have one mutual connection. I could just reach out and connect to him, just hit the connect button and hit add a note and just say, hi, Vipal, I think you pronounce it. I'm, also a computational scientist, would like to connect with you to explore synergies, like to learn more about what you do, something along those lines. Would you be open to a Zoom call so we can explore synergies? I don't know, something along those lines. And especially if you something about his background that looks like you've got some kind of connection, personal connection to what he's done, mention that in the note, and do a whole bunch of those outreaches, because a lot of people aren't going to see their connection. Like, you have to be on LinkedIn and hit the My Network tab in order to see that you have an invitation. So he may not see your invitation. So you've got to blanket this. You got to go lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of connections. Somebody hopefully will respond back to you. And then the more Zoom calls you can have with folks to sort of get to know them, the more opportunities might surface. You never know. And even if they don't have a Zoom call with you, you can simply say, I'm looking for these kinds of opportunities. Maybe he's got something at IBM that he can share with you. You never know. But it's a really great way to, to do some research. And I'm going to share with you on my website a video that I did. It's a 2-hour video on how to use LinkedIn for your job search. And it's under purposefulhire.com, job seeker tab. Shira speaks to job seekers, and go down here to using LinkedIn like a pro. Okay, and I'm just going to put that in the chat for you. Okay, so that hopefully will help you. And this video, this training is both sides of LinkedIn. It's how to create a good profile on LinkedIn so you can be branded and people can find you. And it's how to leverage the search features. All right, so hopefully that's helpful for you.
Thank you.
Sandra,
Muted.
you're muted. You're on mute. Sandra, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. Yeah, I just wanted to share that there is Corporate Gray is having a hiring event today. It's virtual, but when I was on the other side of the fence, I liked Corporate Gray because it was a smaller job fair and I had a chance to interact with the candidates more. So I'm hoping that will still carry over in the virtual realm. So I'll just put their website in the chat if anyone is interested. Historically, a lot of the candidates were previous military, but that is not a requirement to participate in the job fair. A lot of the companies, you ultimately have to be cleared. It doesn't necessarily have to be a secret or top secret. Sometimes it's just a public trust, but it might be of interest to some individuals.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
sharing, Sandra.
Sharon?
Okay, other questions, other thoughts? Anything inspirational, anything that happened to you this week that you'd like to share that was inspiring?
Hey, sure. I saw on LinkedIn, this is not inspiring. This is a question. I saw on LinkedIn, you put out a notice for the 50+ job fair.
Yep.
Is it today?
Well, I think it was yesterday.
Oh,
Yeah.
was it the one through Fairfax County?
No, this is JCA.
Okay.
Yeah. So the Jewish Council on the Aging. So they do this virtual fair now multiple times a year. So if you go to, let me just pull this up here real fast. Give me a second here. Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to put this in the chat. They used to do the pre-pandemic, they used to do this live like twice a year. Now they do it multiple times, as I recall. And they do them. It was yesterday, so that was one yesterday. And then they've got one on May 17th and June 14th. They're calling it the Montgomery County Expo, where the one yesterday was Northern Virginia. The only difference is it's just Northern Virginia employers versus Montgomery County employers, but it's still local enough. So you can register for the May 17th or the June 14th one. Hi.
I attended that one yesterday. I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there are some organizations that offer something that I'm interested in, and there are other ones. They provide a schedule. They have 2 presentations before that start like at 10 o'clock, which were very good. And then the employers present for about 10 minutes each, and you can ask questions in the chat, and then you have a direct relationship with that person. Some companies bring the recruiter on and the hiring manager. And JCA apparently has a special relationship with these employers.
Yeah, they do them. They're good. They're a good group.
Yeah, I thought it was informative as well, Ty. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah. And Shira, thank you for reminding us. I saw it on your page on LinkedIn.
Sure. Yeah, I'm on their mailing list, so I try to forward it when I can. All right, other questions or thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you for all the information that you provide to us, Shira and Vern. It's fantastic. You know, it's helped me a great deal. Keeps me moving.
Good. That's the point.
That's the most important point in the job
Yeah.
search. Just keep moving.
Keep moving.
Keep looking at it.
Yeah.
Encouraged, have faith.
Yep.
It's all a journey. The whole thing's a learning journey, all of it. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up then. And so for anybody who wants to stay on for the prayer call that I lead after this, you're certainly welcome to. And for everyone else, I look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, and Jonathan, before you go, I just want to let you know that all these sessions are recorded, and we've been doing it since August of 2020. So if you go back to my website, I just want to show you where it is if you'd like to avail yourself of it. I'm not always the best about posting it right away, but eventually it gets up there. Let's see here. If you go to purposefulhire.com, go to Hire Moment Mastermind, and then go scroll down, and you'll see. And I have a couple here to post, but anyway, you'll see all the way back. Okay, so you can watch whatever you'd like.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, guys, have a blessed day. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
I thank you.